books to read, and mostly you don't hear from them again until 6 months later they're rearrested for drugs. That's what I saw in Arizona. The cycle of addiction is too hard to break for most of them once they're that deep into it. So, they were all, took me aside one by one, they were looking at me straight in the face, and I was like, I'm gonna keep this all going for you guys. And that's my life's work now. From starting to write a book to getting in a bookstore, it's a 5-year project, just one book. And To Tony's life story, I've got that one in the pipeline. T-Bone's life story, that's in the pipeline. And, to keep going along the line with these guys, Jack as well, that's going to keep me occupied for the next 5, possibly even 10 years, I'm thinking. Yeah, it took me 10 years to do these 3 books alone, the trilogy, so it's just such a mammoth project, writing. For me it is anyway. Some people maybe find it a lot easier and can just go with it.
Why not consider becoming a journalist?
Pardon?
Why don't you consider becoming a journalist?
You know what, I don't like journalism. I don't like writing articles.
Well, what I'm saying is on behalf of somebody like prisoners or people in the UK and things that people don't understand at the moment, because you think throw the key away, maybe you can give it from a different perspective. You're 100%. People approach me all the time about writing these articles, and there's something in my brain that reacts when I get asked these things, because I like to write books, and I feel writing articles is taking me away from this mission of getting all these guys' stories out. I know you're saying I could still get stories out and help prisoners through articles, but my brain doesn't like that idea for some reason. Do you not think that people take more notice sometimes, though, in general, of small things coming across, as in sort of like articles, rather than large things like books, where some might read it, whereas like an article, a lot of people might read it?
Yeah, absolutely. You're 100% right. Millions of people can read an article and it can make a difference. And what I do is I work with a number of journalists, and those guys interview me from time to time, and we do get articles out along the lines of what you're describing. And Fliss, who's here tonight, is actually one of those people, and she's done a bunch of articles.
Very popular.
She's done a bunch of articles and got millions of people reading them. So I'm not abandoning that avenue, but I'm working with certain journalists who are good at writing articles and enjoy writing articles, and that's their profession. Yeah.
What did you do on the first day when you got released from America, from the penitentiary? How did it feel to walk out of the door?
Oh my goodness. My release story is a bit peculiar because I didn't walk out of the door in the classical sense. Have any of you guys seen that movie Con Air with Nicolas Cage? In Con Air, the prisoners are all chained together on a plane, and federal marshals are watching them. You can't go up and use the toilet or anything like that. And so I was on Con Air for a couple of days, going across Arizona and California, and it was federal deportation Con Air, so it was just me and mostly Mexicans. They took me to Los Angeles airport, and at Los Angeles airport, it was just me in a police van at the foot of this plane, and he's waiting until he gets the radio thing for me to go on the plane. He says, I'm going to take your chains off now, don't try anything stupid. And I'm going to put you on the plane first so you don't scare the passengers and all this stuff. Yeah, and then I got put on the plane, back to Heathrow. My mum's there, my dad's there, my sister's there, and my mum and my sister were crying. It was very emotional. I haven't slept for days. And one of the first things they did was they whisked me off to an Indian food restaurant. And my favourite food used to be chicken tikka masala, but because of the mystery meat slop called Red Death in the jail that sometimes had dead rats in it, I tried chicken tikka masala and I got the gag reflex, and in the jail I converted to the Hindu religion to get a vegetarian religious diet, and to this day I've stayed vegetarian now, and I just feel equally if not more healthy just on the food that I'm eating now. So that's what we did. We stayed down at my sister's house in London for a few days, and then we went back to my mum and dad's house, and I was up there for about a year. I got offered the opportunity to speak to the schools right away, and I said to the guy, I need to get my head sorted out before I do this. And it was a year and a half before I did my first talk in the school. It was Bishop Stortford College, I think it was year 10 or 11. So scared I couldn't even eat my breakfast. But I went in that hall, and that year group looked at me, and I couldn't look at them for the entire hour. If they were there, I paced like a prisoner in a cell, just going back and forth, just soaked in sweat, just this raw, nervous energy crackling off me. And I got out of there, and I called my mum. I said, here's what's happened. They must have thought I was a lunatic. I can't do this public speaking stuff, my brain was just... And then I'm getting depressed, unemployed, criminal record, can't get a job, what am I going to do with my life? A couple of weeks later, I got an email from the school and they said, we get a professional public speaker in every week. Our kids voted you the best talk of the year and we'd very much like for you to come back. And that got my confidence up. And since then, it's gone from strength to strength. I get all these feedbacks from the students now on Twitter and stuff like that, and I get to see it through their eyes. And sometimes I even get parents of kids requesting to meet me because they say, we're lucky if we can get a grunt off our son when he comes out of school, but after your talk he wouldn't shut up about it. And it was the first time we could sit down and talk to them about drugs. So, I did wrong in the past, but I'm trying to restore my karma with this.
It's terrible that in British prisons they don't believe in rehabilitation at all.
Well, I think,
because if they get them education and things like that, they quickly.
Worldwide, there's two forces at work in prisons, and it's rehabilitate or punishment. And there's different degrees of each in every country. And, unless you rehabilitate them and give them something positive, channel their energy, so they're just going to get out and commit more crimes. But what happens is there's something deep rooted in the human psyche that feels, because I felt this before I got arrested, lock them up and throw away the key. Punish them it should be horrible in there for them. But I didn't understand the nature. It was mostly a lot of mentally ill people and people being thrown away and addicts. I thought it was all murderers and serial killers and stuff like that, because the media led me to believe that. So I felt lock them up and throw away the key. But once I got in there and saw it's all these people that are uneducated and getting exploited by all these corporations, I realised what was really happening, and it changed my outlook on how prisoners should be treated. Yeah.
You were saying you've read over 1,000 books in prison.
Yeah.
Is there one book that was kind of more influential for you than any of yours?
Yeah, War and Peace, I would say.
Okay.
That's my all-time favourite book. And in terms of political philosophy and the morals about war, it really opened my eyes to a lot of things. It applies to what's going on in the world this day. And then, because someone said to me I would improve my writing if I read more, learning things like character development and the plot of a story and stuff like that. I mean, Tolstoy's War and Peace is just a masterpiece for it. I didn't understand things like that. Learning to write, for me, was like learning a foreign language. The vernacular of that profession was so confusing for me in the beginning, and just throwing all my effort into reading these books helped me see how stories are told and how stories are plotted and stuff like that, because I didn't have a clue previously. All I read was finance books prior to my arrest. Yeah.
With books being so important in your rehabilitation, have you had any, have you attempted to influence Australians' marvellous policy and that?
Yeah, books were the lifeblood of my rehabilitation. And I've been in contact with Matthew Wright over there, The Right Stuff, and he had a discussion on that, on The Right Stuff, and I spoke to him on it. I called in and I gave like a 2-minute thing about how books had been the lifeblood of my rehabilitation, and they all gave a really good applause, so a lot of people saw that. I was then contacted by the Howard League for Penal Reform to go and speak at the Conservative Party conference at a fringe event on that subject. But it got cancelled at the last minute, so I've been trying to put as much information out there as possible about that. I've blogged about it and all that kind of stuff. Because to deny prisoners books, which is a fundamental human right, is going against trying to educate them. And he's saying, no, well, they can get books from the library. Where I was at, the library, it was just, a lot of old books, cobwebs on them, and the library was like this place where people were having sexual activity. It wasn't, so prisoners generally, they tell their family members what